Hello, and welcome to Midnight Affairs Tales. Your support means everything to us. We'd love to know, which geographical location are you joining from today? At home on the go, share with us below now. Let's dive into today's story. Chapter 1. The Science That Shattered Me. Jason Miller stared at the screen, his mouth dry. Probability of paternity, 0%. The glow of the laptop bathed his face in a cold, sterile light. Ethan's school had offered free at-home ancestry kits for a fun project. Jason joined in. He thought it'd be cute, harmless, educational. Now it felt like the floor had been ripped out from under him. He sat still, not blinking, not breathing. The quiet hum of the refrigerator was the only sound in the house. Amanda had just left to pick up groceries. Ethan was upstairs, probably building another Lego spaceship. Jason's fingers hovered over the trackpad. He clicked through the results again. The words hadn't changed. Not the biological father. 100 images flashed through his mind. Ethan's birth, the first time he held him, teaching him to ride a bike, the bedtime stories, the tears, the laughter, the love, and now this? He closed the laptop slowly, as if it might explode. His pulse hammered in his ears. He stood, walked to the kitchen, poured a glass of water, and missed the glass entirely. Water splashed onto the counter, dripping to the floor. His hands were shaking. No, this couldn't be right. There had to be a mistake. He grabbed the test box, scanned the instructions, reread every step. Everything was correct. The only thing wrong was the lie. He looked up at the stairs. Ethan's bedroom door was cracked open. Then he whispered, barely audible, "If Ethan's not mine, then whose is he?" Hey everyone, we've just hit 4,000 subscribers on Midnight Affairs Tales, and I couldn't be more grateful for your love and support. Your passion for deep, emotional, and shocking stories has helped build something truly special here. Now, I've quietly started a new channel. It's called Betrayal Stories Lab. It's a place where I'll share even more powerful stories, full of betrayal, unexpected twists, and unforgettable endings. If you've enjoyed the journey so far, I'd love for you to check it out and be part of this new beginning. Channel link is in the description. Just one click, and you're there. Let's grow this new space together. Our first goal is 1,000 subscribers. And if any story touches you, don't forget to share it. Thank you for always being here. Now let's continue story. Jason watched Amanda the next morning like a stranger. She moved around the kitchen in her robe, humming a song from the 90s, flipping pancakes like it was just another Sunday. Her hair was slightly damp, her skin glowing from a hot shower. She leaned down and kissed Ethan's head. "Daddy's favorite pancakes today," she said, sliding a plate to him. Jason smiled thinly. "Looks great." Amanda smiled back, too easy, too practiced. He'd seen this smile 1,000 times, but now it felt like a weapon wrapped in sugar. His eyes drifted to her phone on the counter. "Amanda, who's Brian?" he asked, careful not to sound confrontational. She paused, half a beat. Enough for a trained eye to catch. Then laughed lightly. "Oh, Brian from work? He runs the fitness side of things at corporate." "Why?" Jason nodded. "Just came up on a bill. Didn't recognize the number." She tilted her head. "Oh, yeah, we've been coordinating this wellness launch. I'll show you the emails later if you want." Her tone was casual, but her fingers tightened slightly on the spatula. Jason didn't miss it. "I trust you," he said. A lie. A test. A setup. Amanda walked over, kissed him on the cheek. "I love that about you." Later, as he pulled out of the driveway for a quick errand, Jason's jaw clenched. He wasn't headed to the store. He was going to find out who Brian really was. And Amanda? She had no clue she'd just cooked breakfast for a man who no longer trusted a single word she said. Jason sat in his car, parked outside a quiet coffee shop, the cell phone bill open on his screen. Brian's number popped up 37 times over the past 2 months. Late nights, lunch hours, even weekends. Amanda had never once mentioned him before. Jason pulled out his phone. Hands steady this time. He dialed the number. It rang twice. "Yo, what's up, babe?" The voice said, casual, familiar, male. Jason didn't say a word, just listened. Silence on his end. "Hello." Jason ended the call. No breathing. No trembling this time. Just ice. He took a long breath, tapped the number into his search engine. Brian Carter, local gym owner. Used to work corporate fitness. Left the company 2 years ago. So Amanda had lied again. He didn't work with her anymore. Jason's jaw flexed. His teeth ached from clenching. He scrolled through Brian's gym website. Group photos. Equipment. Testimonials. Then, a staff collage. Brian stood at the center, tanned, smug, arm over the shoulder of a client. But what caught Jason's eye was the photo taped to the back wall behind him. A printed-out picture. Slightly blurred, but unmistakable. Amanda, laughing in a sundress, standing beside Brian. Jason leaned back in the seat, the phone resting in his lap. This wasn't just betrayal. It was curated, cultivated. She had her own private life built on lies, while smiling across the dinner table like nothing was wrong. He looked out the windshield, past the reflections. This wasn't just about cheating anymore. It was war. The air smelled like sweat and protein powder. Jason stepped into Iron Core Fitness, a local gym tucked between a liquor store and a vape shop. His hoodie was up, but he didn't look out of place. Just another guy with gym shoes and questions. The girl at the desk barely looked up. "You here for a trial session?" "Nah, I'm looking for someone." Brian Carter. Trainer's Lounge. Back left. Jason nodded and walked in slowly, scanning. The clang of weights, the rhythmic pounding of treadmill shoes. Then, there he was. Brian. Charcoal gray tank top, tattoo sleeve on one arm, charisma oozing like cheap cologne. He was laughing with a female client, leaning in too close. Typical. Jason didn't speak. He circled the gym like he was interested in equipment. Then his eyes caught something taped to the corkboard behind the front desk. Photos. Dozens of them. One caught his breath. Amanda, wearing a peach sundress, smiling wide, arms slung around Brian. Not at work. Not at a corporate event. They were outside a cabin. Sunlit. Intimate. Caption. Summer vibes. Back when we didn't care what anyone thought. Jason's stomach turned. This wasn't new. This wasn't casual. This was something deep and filthy. Brian walked past him with a towel slung over his shoulder, not recognizing him. Jason watched him walk by. He didn't feel rage. He felt strategy forming. Amanda had built a second world with Brian. Fine. Now Jason would invite them both into his. He stepped out into the sunlight, ice cold. "You know Amanda's always been impulsive," said Charles, her father, sipping black coffee across the diner table. "Passionate, but reckless." Jason stirred his cream slowly. He wasn't ready to drop the bomb yet. He was testing, like a scientist poking at a fault line. When Amanda got pregnant, do you remember how fast it all happened? Charles raised an eyebrow. "You're asking now? After 6 years?" Jason shrugged. "Just thinking back. I remember I was on a business trip when she told me." Charles blinked, thinking. "You were. That was that Atlanta Expo, right?" "April." Jason nodded. "Yeah." She called crying. Told me she was pregnant. Said it must have happened right before I left. Charles frowned. "Funny. I remember she came home that week for a few days. Said she needed space from the city." Jason leaned back. "She ever mention who she saw?" Charles chuckled lightly. "No, but Amanda never liked being alone." The coffee suddenly tasted bitter. Jason pressed on. "She ever mentioned someone named Brian?" Charles stiffened, just slightly. A microsecond of discomfort. "The gym guy." "Yeah. Didn't like him," Charles muttered. "Showed up once. Seemed too smooth. Amanda said it was nothing." Jason didn't answer. Charles narrowed his eyes. "Jason, what's going on?" Jason took one last sip. "Let's just say, some pieces don't fit anymore. And I'm done pretending they do." As he stood up, Charles grabbed his wrist gently. "Whatever she did, Ethan's still your son." Jason looked him dead in the eye. "He's innocent. She's not. And I'm not staying silent." Jason sat at his desk, scrolling through Amanda's old Facebook posts. He wasn't looking for proof, he had that. He was mapping the pattern of lies. He found the post, "Anniversary trip with my love April 14th. Couldn't ask for more." The caption was under a photo of a wine bottle and 2 glasses. No faces. No setting that gave it away. Just ambience. Jason checked his work calendar from that year. April 12th to 18th, Atlanta Software Conference. He clicked Amanda's photo. The metadata loaded. Taken, April 16th. Location, Wimberley Cabin Retreat. Jason's hands curled into fists. He never went to Wimberley. He opened the Airbnb app. Searched past bookings. Found one under Amanda's name. 2 guests. Secluded river cabin. Romantic hideaway. The host's review. Perfect guest. Hope you and your partner return again. It wasn't just cheating. It was staged loyalty, planned deceit to post on social media and sell the lie of a happy marriage. She used him as a prop. Jason stood and walked to the bathroom. He looked at himself in the mirror. 6 years of memories. Of being a dad, a husband, a provider. 6 years of fiction. He pulled his wedding ring off and set it on the edge of the sink. It didn't make a sound when it landed. The real anniversary was about to begin. Jason stood alone in the garage, surrounded by tools he hadn't touched in months. The silence was different out here, thicker. No cartoons playing upstairs. No Amanda calling from the hallway. Just concrete walls and tension. He placed a whiteboard on the workbench and clicked a marker. Across the top, he wrote, truth, reaction, revenge. It wasn't just about payback. It had to be precision. Calculated. Controlled. He opened a drawer and pulled out Amanda's old planner. She stopped using it after switching to digital, but Jason had held on to it out of habit. He flipped to the April section. Scribbles, meetings, and one entry stood out. Weekend getaway with B. She didn't even bother to use a fake name. He grabbed a notebook and began writing. DNA test result, phone records with timestamps, Brian's gym photos, Airbnb receipts, old posts plus social media lies, witness. Charles confirmed suspicions. He wasn't going to scream. He wasn't going to cry. He was going to destroy her mask in public. With witnesses. Jason stared at a blank spot on the board. Dinner. He circled the word. A family dinner, just like always. Except this time, it would be the scene of her unraveling. No shouting match. Just silence, truth, and precision. Like a surgeon with a scalpel. His phone buzzed. Amanda, picked up your favorite wine. Ethan's excited for family dinner night. Jason stared at the message. So were you, he thought. He erased the word revenge on the board and rewrote it. Justice. Jason walked into the kitchen, setting down a bag of groceries. Amanda glanced up from her laptop, smiling wide. She looked so normal. Like none of this was real. You're early, she said, stretching. I haven't even started dinner yet. I can help. His voice was even calm. Amanda raised an eyebrow. Wow, Mr. Kitchen. Jason chuckled. Special night calls for special effort. She grinned. We doing steak again? Ethan loves it. Jason nodded. Yep. Invited a guest too. Amanda paused. Oh? Who? He shrugged, casual. Brian. Said I had a business pitch to run by him. Figured dinner would be more relaxed than an office. For half a second, her expression flickered. Just enough for someone watching closely. Brian? That's random. Not really, Jason said, pulling a wine bottle from the bag. He's in shape. Owns a brand. We've got mutual interests. Amanda turned toward the fridge, hiding her face. Well, okay. Just surprised. I haven't seen him in ages. He let that line sit in the air like a landmine. As the evening approached, Jason set the table like it was a holiday. Candles. Polished cutlery. Cloth napkins. Ethan helped, excited to see Daddy's new friend. At 6:42, the doorbell rang. Jason opened it slowly. Brian stood there in a tight black button-down, flashing a toothy smile. Yo. Jason, right? Come on in. Dinner's almost ready. Amanda stepped into view. Her breath hitched, but just barely. Hey. Brian. Brian smirked. Long time. Jason poured wine like nothing was wrong. He sat down across from Amanda, who tried to laugh, tried to smile. But her eyes kept darting between Jason and Brian. She didn't know which one of them was the bomb. The steak sizzled on the cast iron pan, filling the room with a buttery, seared aroma. Ethan sat at the table, swinging his legs, coloring with crayons. Amanda poured water into glasses, careful, focused, too focused. Brian leaned back in his chair like he owned the place. This is dope, man. Most people are too uptight to mix business with personal. Jason handed him a plate. I'm not most people. Amanda didn't eat. She was pretending to chew, her fork moving food in circles. Jason watched her hands. Small twitches. She was unraveling slowly, pretending everything was fine. Ethan looked up. "Mr. Bryan, do you have kids?" Bryan chuckled. "Not that I know of." Jason looked straight at Amanda. Her fork froze midair. Jason took a sip of wine. "Interesting answer." Bryan glanced between them. "What's the pitch, man? You said something about a brand collab?" Jason nodded. "Right. I do have a pitch. But first, something important." He stood up, walked to the kitchen counter, picked up a slim manila folder. "Ethan, buddy, can you go finish your drawing in the living room for a few minutes?" Ethan shrugged and hopped down. Jason walked back slowly, placed the folder in the center of the table. "This," he said, "is my actual pitch." He slid the DNA results across the table, open to the bold black letters. Amanda's face turned ash white. Bryan stopped chewing. Jason spoke slowly, each word like a hammer. "Ethan isn't mine, but he's yours." Bryan blinked. "What?" Amanda whispered. "Jason, please don't. You lied to me." "For 6 years," Jason said, his voice cold and clear. "Built a life on it. Tonight, we eat truth." Amanda's lip trembled. "This isn't the place." Jason leaned in. "This is the place. Right here. Right now." Silence. Only the soft hum of the fridge filled the room. Amanda's mouth opened, but no words came out. Her eyes darted across the DNA test papers as if reading them faster would make them change. Her hand hovered over them, trembling, before she slowly pulled the page closer, lips moving as she scanned. Bryan pushed his plate away. "Wait, what the hell is this?" Jason didn't blink. "You said you didn't have kids." "Looks like that's not true." Amanda whispered. "Jason, can we talk privately?" "No," he said. "We had privacy for 6 years. Tonight, we're being honest. As a family." Bryan stood abruptly. "Is this a setup? You invited me here for this." Jason folded his hands calmly. "You slept with my wife. Helped raise my son without ever knowing he was yours. You deserve to see it play out like this." Amanda's voice cracked. "Jason, I can explain." "No, you can't." He looked at her, eyes cold. "You've had years to explain. You made anniversary posts with me while sleeping in cabins with him. You let me believe Ethan was mine, and you let him grow up on a lie." Tears welled in Amanda's eyes, but she didn't cry. Bryan stepped back, voice low. "I didn't know. I swear." Jason stared at him. "I believe that. Doesn't make either of you less guilty." From the living room, Ethan's voice carried over. "Daddy, can I come back?" Jason called gently, never taking his eyes off Amanda. "Just a few more minutes, buddy." Amanda looked shattered. Jason stood. "Dinner's over." Later that night, Jason sat on the edge of Ethan's bed. The small glow of a nightlight cast soft shadows on the walls. Ethan clutched a toy spaceship in his hand. "Daddy, why was Mommy crying?" Jason paused. His throat tightened. "She's just sad, but grown-ups mess up sometimes." Ethan sat up, eyes wide. "Did I do something wrong?" Jason shook his head quickly. "No, you didn't do anything wrong. You're perfect. You hear me?" Ethan nodded. "I heard you yelling." "I wasn't yelling. Just saying some things that needed to be said." Ethan leaned against him. Jason wrapped his arm around his son gently, breathing in the soft scent of shampoo and childhood. He wanted to freeze time right there. Hold on to this piece of innocence before the rest came crashing in. "I love you, Daddy." Jason kissed the top of his head. "I love you more." He tucked Ethan in, lingered a little longer than usual, then stood and turned off the light. Amanda was waiting in the hallway, eyes red, face streaked with tears. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I panicked. I didn't know how to fix it." Jason stared at her, cold. "You didn't fix it. You buried it. I never stopped loving you. Don't." He raised his hand. "Don't insult me with that." She reached out. "We can talk. We're done talking. I'll be filing tomorrow." She froze. "You're divorcing me?" "I'm divorcing the version of you I thought I married." Then he walked past her, not looking back. Jason sat in his lawyer's office the next morning, a manila envelope resting on the polished oak desk. "Everything you asked for," said Lauren Michaels, his attorney. "Prenup's airtight. Her name's not on the house deed. And because you're not on the birth certificate, this custody fight, well, it's going to be different." Jason nodded slowly. "How different?" "She'll fight for custody, sure. But biologically, Ethan's not yours. And legally, she hasn't established paternity with Brian either. That gives you leverage. But if you want to keep Ethan, really keep him, you're going to need a strategy. Jason leaned forward. He's my son. Blood doesn't change that. Lauren studied him. Then we'll fight like hell. He handed her a flash drive. Phone logs, emails, cabin reservations, pictures, and he slid over another page. A statement from Amanda's father. He suspected it too. Lauren raised an eyebrow. You've been busy. I don't throw punches unless I know exactly where to land them. She smiled faintly. Good. Because this isn't just a divorce. This is war. Jason stood. Let's file. As he walked out into the bright Austin sunlight, he exhaled, slow and deep. Amanda had taken his trust, his marriage, and the truth about his son. Now he was taking everything else back. 2 days later, Brian was gone. Jason sat in his truck across from Iron Core Fitness. The gym was closed. Lights off. A handwritten note taped to the door read, temporarily closed due to personal matters. Sorry for the inconvenience. Jason smirked. He hadn't said a word publicly. No emails. No phone calls. Just one post. A carefully edited Instagram story. Anonymous, untraceable, showing Brian with Amanda's photo blurred in the background of that gym shot. Then came the follow-up. Local gym owner fathered a child in an affair. Still training clients like nothing happened. That was all it took. Within 48 hours, 2 clients dropped their packages. Brian's longtime investor withdrew. A comment war exploded on his page. He shut it all down. Cowards don't fight back. They vanish. Jason watched a woman, probably a cleaning staffer, unlock the door and carry out a box of personal items. A framed photo of Brian flexing sat on top, face down. His phone buzzed. Text from Amanda. Brian won't return my calls. He's gone. Jason didn't reply. He rolled down the window, let the fall air hit his face. This wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about letting rot surface in daylight. Amanda had picked a man who ran the second things got messy. A man who had a child and vanished without even asking about him. Jason stared at the gym sign one last time. Then he drove away. Jason sat in the family court lobby in a charcoal blazer, hands clasped, posture stiff. His attorney sat beside him, cool and unreadable. Amanda was across the room. Hair straightened, pearl earrings. Makeup done just enough to look soft. But her eyes were sunken. Her hands fidgeted with a folded tissue. Jason didn't look at her. Mr. Miller, a court clerk called. You're up. Inside the courtroom, the walls felt colder. The judge, a gray-haired woman with sharp glasses, looked through the files silently for almost 2 minutes. Amanda's attorney started. Your Honor, my client is requesting joint custody based on her continued role as Ethan's primary caregiver. Jason's lawyer cut in smoothly. Except Ms. Miller has no legal proof of biological relation, nor paternity established with the presumed father, who is currently unreachable. Mr. Miller has raised Ethan from birth, supported him financially, and has not once abandoned that role. Amanda turned toward the judge. He's my baby. I carried him for 9 months. The judge raised her hand. Ms. Miller will review all claims. Jason stood when asked. Mr. Miller, the judge said, do you wish to maintain full guardianship? Yes, ma'am. Despite no biological tie? Jason nodded. Because he's my son, and he knows me as his father. That bond is not negotiable. Amanda blinked hard, a tear finally sliding down. The judge paused, then said, this will take time. But today's ruling stands. Mr. Miller maintains full temporary guardianship. Ms. Miller's petition for shared custody is denied, pending further review. Amanda's head dropped. Her lips moved, but no words came out. Jason walked out of the courtroom without a glance back. That night, Jason sat in the kitchen alone, a single lamp glowing beside his laptop. He opened the family group chat. Amanda's mom, her dad, her sister Danielle, cousins, even her pastor uncle. They had all sent loving, supportive messages for years, holiday wishes, baby pictures, church invites. None of them knew the truth. Not really. Jason uploaded 4 images. The DNA result. The photo of Amanda and Brian at the cabin. A screenshot of the Airbnb confirmation in Amanda's name. A side-by-side shot. Jason and Ethan, and Brian and Ethan. He typed a simple message. I stayed silent for too long. Just so you all know what she let me live through. Then he hit send. For 5 minutes, there was nothing. Then came the typing dots. Danielle, what the actual hell? Amanda's dad. Is this real? Tell me this is fake. Her pastor uncle. You're in our prayers, Jason. Whatever you need. Then Amanda. Jason, please take this down. I'm begging you. He didn't respond. He left the chat. Let them sit in it. Let them feel it. Amanda had danced through the fire thinking no one would smell the smoke. Now her entire world was watching her burn. The knock on the door came just after midnight. Jason opened it to find Amanda standing there in a hoodie and leggings, barefoot, her mascara smudged like she hadn't slept in days. Her eyes were swollen. Her breathing was shallow. I just need 5 minutes, she whispered. Jason didn't move. Ethan's asleep. I'm not here for him. Jason, please. He stepped aside without a word, not out of kindness, but because he wanted to see what she looked like when the mask finally cracked. She stepped in slowly, like a guest in a stranger's house. I don't know where to go, she said. My family, they won't even answer my calls. You earned that, he said, arms folded. She looked around the kitchen, almost like she was hoping the past 6 years would snap back into place. Like she could just rewind it. I messed up, she said, her voice breaking. I know that doesn't even begin to cover it, but I need you to believe I didn't mean for it to go this far. Jason scoffed. 6 years. Multiple lies. You had every chance to come clean. You didn't trip and fall into this, Amanda. You built it. She stepped closer. I loved you. I still do. He stared at her. Then you should have respected me enough not to destroy me. Tears spilled over. She covered her mouth and choked on a sob. I've lost everything. Jason's voice dropped. No. You're just starting to understand what that feels like. She reached out to touch his arm. He stepped back. Don't. She nodded slowly, defeated. Jason opened the door again. You can let yourself out. As she walked out, the door clicked shut behind her like a final nail. And he felt nothing. The waiting room smelled like lavender and antiseptic. Jason sat with his arms crossed, staring at a painting of a tree bent by the wind. Amanda walked out of the therapist's office. She looked surprised to see him. I didn't expect you'd show. Jason stood. You wanted me to come. I'm here. They sat in silence while the therapist, Dr. Hannah Keller, shuffled papers and sat down across from them. Thank you both for being here, she began. We're not here to reconcile. We're here to unpack what happened. That's the goal Amanda asked for. Jason stared ahead. There's nothing to unpack. She lied. I believed her. That's the story. Amanda looked at him. I want to take accountability. Dr. Keller nodded. Then speak your truth. Amanda took a breath. I was lonely. You were always working. And Brian, it started as a distraction. I never planned to. Jason cut her off. To have a child with him? To lie to me for 6 years? What did you plan? Amanda's eyes dropped. I convinced myself it was just one mistake. Jason leaned forward. You went on vacations with him. Slept next to me after being with him. Posted pictures of fake anniversaries. That's not a mistake. That's who you are. Dr. Keller gently interjected. Jason, do you feel closure? He looked at Amanda. I feel like she came here to save face, not to tell the truth. Therapy doesn't fix liars. It just gives them new words to use. He stood up. This session's over for me. Amanda reached for him, one last time. But Jason didn't stop walking. It was a quiet Sunday morning. Jason and Ethan stood in line at the zoo entrance, Ethan bouncing excitedly on his feet. Daddy, can we see the lions first? Jason smiled. Lions first. Then penguins. Ethan grabbed his hand and tugged. And the snack stand. Jason chuckled. One thing at a time, little man. Inside, the crowds thinned out near the African savanna exhibit. Jason lifted Ethan onto his shoulders so he could see better. There he is. Ethan shouted, pointing at the male lion lying on a rock. Jason held his legs steady. See that? That lion knows he's in charge. Ethan giggled, arms wide like he was flying. Like you. Jason's heart thudded. He hadn't heard Ethan laugh like this in weeks. They spent hours wandering, feeding goats, watching seals, taking pictures. Jason didn't check his phone once. At the snack stand, Ethan picked out a giant rainbow lollipop. "Mommy never let me get this big one," he said, licking it with joy. Jason knelt down, looking him in the eyes. "Well, buddy, things are going to be a little different now." Ethan tilted his head. "Is Mommy coming back?" Jason's chest tightened. He chose his words carefully. "She'll always be around. But you and I? We're on our own team now." Ethan smiled and nodded. Jason wrapped an arm around his shoulder as they walked toward the exit. It was a small moment, but it felt like breathing for the first time after being underwater. His son was smiling, and for the first time since the truth shattered his world, so was he. Jason stood in front of the courthouse, holding a neatly bound file in one hand, coffee in the other. His lawyer, Lauren, joined him at the steps. "You sure about this?" she asked. "Absolutely. Emotional distress. Paternity fraud. 6 years of deception. She gets to watch this go on record." They walked through security, the cold clank of the metal detector echoing like punctuation. Inside, Lauren laid the file on the clerk's desk. "Petition for damages. Jason Miller versus Amanda Miller." The clerk nodded. "Stamped and accepted. You'll be notified when the hearing's scheduled." Jason let out a slow breath. It was done. He wasn't just ending a marriage. He was officially holding Amanda accountable. Later that day, Lauren emailed a statement to a local online publication. Nothing slanderous, just the facts. A man in Austin files a lawsuit against his wife after a DNA test proves their son isn't biologically his. No names, no photos, but the internet did the rest. Within hours, Reddit picked it up. Twitter buzzed. Local influencers speculated. One comment hit harder than the rest. "This is why men should never trust blind. Test at birth." Every time. Jason didn't reply. He wasn't fueling a debate. He was setting a precedent. Amanda's name wasn't public yet, but soon it would be. A week later, Jason sat in a soundproof studio under soft LED lights. A microphone hovered near his mouth. Across from him, Rachel Moreno, the host of Silent Storms, a trending podcast on betrayal and recovery, leaned in. "I appreciate you being here," she said. "You've been through what some would call every man's nightmare." Jason nodded. It felt like a bad movie. Rachel asked gently, "Why go public now?" He didn't hesitate. "Because I kept it in for too long. And people think silence is strength, but sometimes it's just slow death. I wanted truth. For myself. For my son." She adjusted her mic. "What was the hardest part?" Jason exhaled, realizing Ethan wasn't mine, and still knowing I loved him exactly the same. Rachel nodded slowly. "Some would have walked away. I couldn't. He's innocent. And Amanda, she had a choice. Every lie, every fake photo, every birthday party with a secret behind it, that was her choice." Rachel leaned forward. "Do you think she regrets it?" "I think she regrets getting caught." Silence. Just the low hum of studio gear. Rachel smiled faintly. "Final question. What would you say to someone listening right now, living through betrayal?" Jason stared into the camera. "Pain doesn't last forever, but silence does. Speak. Act. Take back what's yours." The red recording light clicked off. Rachel stood. "That was powerful. Thank you." Jason shook her hand. As he left the studio, he checked his phone. New message. Unknown number. "We need to talk. It's about Amanda. B." The next day, Jason stood frozen in his kitchen, rereading the message. Brian? After vanishing, he was suddenly texting? He tapped back. What could you possibly have to say now? 3 dots. Then, "She's trying to get me to sign papers. Something about claiming parental rights." "I didn't ask for this." Jason stared at the screen. It made sense. Amanda was cornered. No husband. No legal custody. Her only option left? Force Brian into the role he never wanted. Later that afternoon, Jason got a call from Lauren. "You're not going to like this. Tell me." Amanda's filed a petition to establish Brian as Ethan's biological father. If she pulls it off, she can try to regain custody, co-parenting with him. Jason's voice dropped. "She's building a whole new lie. She's desperate," Lauren said. "And it's messy. If Brian resists, it'll hurt her case. But if he caves," Jason's jaw clenched. Then she replaces one lie with another. He hung up and drove to Brian's gym, still closed. But Brian was waiting in the alley, hoodie up, hands buried in his pockets. "You dragged me into this, man," Brian said. "I didn't know Ethan was mine." Jason stepped closer. "You knew enough to keep it quiet." Brian didn't flinch. "I don't want custody. I don't want court. I want this to go away." "Then don't sign anything," Jason said coldly. "She's using you like she used me." Brian nodded. "I told her no." She flipped out. Jason turned to leave, then stopped. "If you backpedal, if you let her talk you into this, I will destroy both of you. Publicly. Permanently." Brian didn't answer. Jason didn't wait. Amanda had found her new angle. But Jason had already prepared for round two. The package was unmarked. No return address. Just a slim padded envelope on Jason's doorstep, waiting like a riddle. Inside, a USB drive and a folded sticky note. Written in small, sharp handwriting. "Watch this before you take her back. A friend." Jason stared at it for a long time. His mind raced. Setup? Threat? Trap? He plugged it into his laptop, loaded the file. A grainy video opened. Security cam footage. It showed a small parking lot. A black SUV. Amanda getting out. Wearing sunglasses. Alone. A timestamp in the corner. April 12th, 6 years ago. The same week she told Jason she got pregnant. The footage skipped. Next clip. Amanda walking toward a cabin door. Brian answers. He's shirtless. They kiss. Hard. Like it wasn't new. Jason paused the video. His breath hitched. So it wasn't just one trip. Not one mistake. She was already with him before Ethan was conceived. Before she ever said, "I think I'm pregnant." He kept watching. Inside footage now, maybe a hidden nanny cam. Amanda and Brian laughing, sharing drinks. And then Jason clicked stop. He didn't need more. This wasn't just betrayal. This was confirmation she never even planned to stay loyal. She had been with Brian the entire time Jason thought they were trying for a baby. The lie didn't start with the affair. It started with conception. Jason sat back in his chair. That was the moment he realized he hadn't even begun to hate her properly yet. Jason had barely processed the video when his phone buzzed again. Unknown number. Another message. "My name's Kara. I'm Brian's ex. We need to talk. I know everything." He almost ignored it. Then his gut said otherwise. He called. A young voice answered. Direct. No hesitation. "I was with Brian the entire time he was sleeping with your wife," Kara said. "Thought you should hear the truth before she spins it again." Jason clenched the steering wheel. "Go on." "She told Brian she'd ruin his life if he left. Said she'd tell you. Tell me. Tell everyone about the baby unless he kept quiet. She manipulated the hell out of him." Jason's stomach turned. "So he stayed." "Stayed scared," Kara said. "I found out when I saw texts on his phone. She was threatening to send your wedding photos to me with timestamps. She was playing both sides." Jason gritted his teeth. "And he let her." "He's weak. You're not." Jason paused. "Why are you telling me this now?" Kara sighed. "Because Amanda called me. Just yesterday. She's trying to paint you as unstable. Said you're a control freak. Said she's going to use your obsession against you in court." Jason's jaw tightened. "She's not done lying, Jason. She's just getting started." "I appreciate the warning," he said. "One more thing," Kara added. "You're not the only husband she's wrecked. There's more. I just don't have names." Jason ended the call and stared ahead. Amanda wasn't desperate. She was still playing the game. Now, it was time to beat her at it. Jason didn't sleep that night. He opened her old hard drive, scanned her backup files. She had forgotten it existed. It was a digital attic, decade-old folders, emails, saved photos. And buried deep inside, a folder labeled Work Archive. Inside, dozens of screenshots. Messages between Amanda and her boss. Jason blinked. The first message was dated 10 months before Ethan's birth. It started innocently. Then came the late-night chats. The explicit exchanges. The hotel confirmations. Photos. Receipts. Selfies. One photo hit him hardest, Amanda in a robe, wine glass in hand, captioned, "Corporate perks, the file name? Denver trip, confidential." That trip was the same week she told Jason she was working late. He remembered texting her good night. She replied, still at the office. But she was in a hotel suite. With a married boss. Jason sat frozen. Ethan might not even be Brian's. There was no way to know now. Just layers of lies. A full deck of betrayal, face down, one card at a time. He copied everything to a fresh drive. And then, calmly, emailed it all to Lauren. Subject line, more lies. Let's escalate. He poured a drink. Neat. No ice. Amanda didn't just betray him. She was systematic. And now, Jason wasn't going to just win this case. He was going to expose every sick move she ever made. Amanda's company was a gleaming modern tech firm in downtown Austin. Big glass windows, motivational quotes on the walls, and a very strict code of ethics. Jason had read it himself online the night before. One clause stood out. Any employee found engaging in unethical relationships with managerial staff will be investigated and, if necessary, terminated. Perfect. Jason uploaded the files, every saved email, hotel receipt, and flirtatious message, into a Dropbox folder. Then he sent a single anonymous email to her company's HR director and CC'd Amanda's boss's wife. No subject line, no message body, just one link. By the next morning, the fallout had started. He didn't hear it from Amanda. He saw it on LinkedIn. Her company posted an official statement, effective immediately. Amanda Miller and David Langford have resigned from their roles amid an internal ethics investigation. Jason leaned back in his chair. 2 careers gone. The HR team didn't even call Amanda for a meeting. She was escorted out of the building by security. Jason knew, because Danielle, her own sister, texted him. She's wrecked. Crying. Saying she was framed. He didn't reply. Because this wasn't framing. It was reality finally crashing into her fantasy. The woman who had once played queen in their home now couldn't even get past her company's security desk. Jason looked out the window as the sun rose. He hadn't lifted a finger in anger. All he did was bring the truth to light. And Amanda? She was finally being seen for who she really was. The courtroom felt colder than usual. Amanda sat across from Jason, her makeup minimal this time. Her eyes hollow. She looked 10 years older than she had a month ago. She didn't have her usual smirk. Not today. Jason's lawyer, Lauren, stood first. She held a printed folder thick with evidence. Your Honor, she began, we are requesting the court finalize sole legal guardianship of Ethan Miller under Mr. Jason Miller. Furthermore, we are filing for court-ordered paternity testing to clarify biological parentage due to ongoing confusion created by the mother. Amanda's attorney stood slowly. Objection. This request is humiliating and harmful to the child's emotional stability. The judge raised a hand. Mr. Miller, do you understand the implications of requesting a test? Jason nodded. I do. But I also understand the implications of raising a child in a foundation built on lies. He deserves clarity. And so do I. The judge looked at Amanda. Ms. Miller. Amanda wiped a tear. I just want what's best for my son. Jason turned slightly, voice sharp. You wanted what was best for you. This court deserves to see the difference. Lauren handed over the documents, hotel logs, emails, 2 paternity lab referrals. Amanda shrank deeper into her seat with every page flipped. The judge scanned the files, lips pressing tighter with each paragraph. Finally, she looked up. This court is placing a temporary stay on all joint custody discussions. Mr. Miller will retain full guardianship until test results are verified. A hearing date for final custody will be scheduled in 3 weeks. Amanda looked like the breath had been knocked from her chest. Jason didn't blink. This was her storm. He was just letting it rain. 2 weeks later, the test results arrived. Probability of paternity, 0% for both Jason and Brian Carter. Jason read the result twice. Then once more, just to let it sink in. Amanda had lied about everything. Not just the affair. Not just the baby's father. Even Brian wasn't the dad. There had been another man. Someone else she'd been with, a third betrayal hidden beneath the wreckage of the first 2. Jason brought the result to court the next morning. Lauren handed it directly to the judge before proceedings even began. Amanda sat frozen as the clerk read the result aloud. The judge looked over the glasses on her nose, stone-faced. Ms. Miller, would you like to comment on the fact that neither party, your husband or the presumed biological father, are the child's actual parent? Amanda whispered, I didn't know. Jason didn't speak. The judge continued. In that case, with the consent of Mr. Miller, and in light of his continued emotional and financial support, this court grants full and permanent guardianship of the child, Ethan Miller, to Jason Miller. Visitation rights for Ms. Miller will be determined upon further psychological evaluation. Amanda gasped. No, please, he's all I have. Jason looked her in the eye. No, he said. He's all I've ever had. And you made that a lie too. Amanda reached out as he walked past her, but he didn't stop. Not anymore. There was nothing left to save. Jason was dropping off a donation box at a shelter when his phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. You need to see this. D. He opened the video. Amanda, standing in her parents' living room, screaming. You think I'm a monster? I made one mistake, she shouted, pacing like a caged animal. Her father sat in his recliner, expression unreadable. Her mother had her arms folded, face pale and tired. Her mother said finally. One mistake, Amanda. Amanda's voice cracked. So what? Jason sends a few emails, and now you're all on his side. Her father stood slowly. We were never choosing sides. But your sister showed us the court papers. We saw the test. 2 men aren't the father. You lied to everyone, including us. Amanda laughed bitterly. So you're throwing me out? Your own daughter. We're asking you to grow up, her mother said. And right now, you're not welcome here. Amanda looked stunned. You're serious. Her father walked to the door. Get some help. When you're ready to tell the truth, to yourself first, you can knock again. The door opened. Amanda stood there a beat too long. Then she walked out. Alone. Jason stared at the video. Danielle had filmed it quietly. Then she texted. She's spiraling. I thought you should know. You did what none of us could. Jason didn't reply. He just stared out his windshield. Amanda wasn't just losing custody. She was losing everything she thought she controlled. The inbox subject line read, Book Deal Inquiry, Penguin Random House. Jason blinked. Thought it was spam. Almost deleted it. But he opened it. Inside, a formal email from an acquisitions editor. She'd seen the podcast interview, heard the voice, checked the Reddit threads. She wanted to publish his story. Jason forwarded it to Lauren, just in case. Then he stared at the screen. Could this actually become something bigger? Not just survival, but impact? They set up a Zoom call. The editor was sharp, calm, and respectful. We're not talking a petty revenge book, she said. We're talking a human story. Fatherhood, betrayal, personal strength, and how you rebuilt. Jason hesitated. I don't want to write a smear campaign. That's not what people want, she said. They want truth, emotion, the pieces people don't say out loud. He leaned back. I'm not a writer. You don't have to be. We'll match you with a co-author. You speak, we shape. But your story? It needs to be told. Jason didn't say yes right away, but he didn't say no. That night, he sat down and recorded himself talking for almost 2 hours. About Ethan, about Amanda, about the night he got the test results. When he finished, he looked at the recorder. Maybe healing wasn't just for him. Maybe telling the truth could keep someone else from ending up where he did. It was cold that morning. Jason stood outside the small therapy center Amanda had been attending weekly. He didn't knock. He waited. She stepped out at exactly 9:04 a.m. Saw him immediately. Her face fell. You're not supposed to be here, she said, voice flat. I know, Jason replied. This isn't about court. It's not about Ethan. It's about finishing something. Amanda sighed, folding her coat tighter. Then say it. Jason looked at her, not with anger, but with finality. You didn't just lose me. You lost yourself. The version of you that was worth forgiving. She blinked. That's cruel. No, he said. It's honest. And you've avoided honesty for too long. Amanda's voice trembled. I never meant to hurt you. But you did, he said. Over and over. And I'm done carrying it for you. He pulled a sealed envelope from his coat and handed it to her. What's this? The last piece of paperwork, he said. It finalizes everything. Your signature is the last one needed. Amanda looked down at it. Then back up. Jason turned to leave. Jason, she called out. He stopped. I hope one day you'll believe I really did love you. He didn't turn around. Just answered quietly. I believe you loved the life I gave you. Not me. Then he walked away. And this time, he felt the weight come off his shoulders. Not on. Jason sat on the living room floor, sorting through a bin of Ethan's old school drawings. The silence was peaceful for once. Ethan sat beside him, cross-legged with a juice box in hand. He was unusually quiet. "Daddy?" he asked, eyes on the paper. "Yeah, bud." Ethan traced his finger across a scribbled crayon family portrait. It showed Jason, Ethan, and Amanda holding hands under a sun with a smiley face. "Why don't we see Mommy anymore?" Jason's hand froze mid-sift. He looked at Ethan carefully. "That's a good question," he said softly. "And I promise I won't lie to you." Ethan looked up, eyes wide, waiting. "Sometimes," Jason said slowly, "grown-ups make choices that aren't fair. Mommy made some that hurt people, including me. But I want you to know, it's not your fault. Not even a little bit." Ethan didn't speak. He just nodded. "Does Mommy still love me?" he asked, voice almost a whisper. Jason swallowed. "Yes, I believe she does. But love alone doesn't fix things." Ethan looked down again. "I still miss her." Jason nodded. "And it's okay to miss her. Really. But missing someone doesn't mean you forget what they did. It just means you're human." They sat there for a long moment, just breathing. Then Ethan leaned into him, resting his head on Jason's arm. "I'm glad you're still here," he whispered. Jason wrapped an arm around him. "Me too, buddy. Me too." Jason tossed the last box into the back of the moving truck. The driveway looked empty now, like the life they once had been erased with careful precision. Danielle stood on the sidewalk, arms crossed. "Can't believe you're really leaving this house." Jason looked up at it. "It's not a home anymore. Just walls." She nodded. "Where are you going?" "Closer to the lake. Smaller place. Better schools." Danielle smiled faintly. "You're not running away, you know. You're just starting over." Jason gave her a look. "That's supposed to be comforting?" She laughed. "It's supposed to be true." Later that night, in the new place, Ethan walked into his new room. The walls were bare, but the window looked out over a grassy hill where kids were riding bikes. "This is cool," he said. Jason smiled. "You'll make friends fast." Ethan opened his suitcase and pulled out a photo, the one of just him and Jason at the zoo. He placed it on the nightstand without saying a word. Jason watched him. For the first time, this move didn't feel like an escape. It felt like a reset. 3 days after settling in, a letter arrived. Handwritten. No return address, but the cursive on the envelope was familiar. Jason didn't open it right away. It sat on the kitchen table for 2 full days. Finally, he lit a small fire in the backyard pit, poured a cup of coffee, and took the envelope outside. He stared at it a long time. Then he fed it to the flames. He didn't need to read her excuses. Didn't need her apology, or her guilt, or her rewritten memories. That letter wasn't closure. He was. The flames curled the paper into black curls and ash. Jason sipped his coffee. That chapter was over. And for once, he didn't feel broken. He felt clear. Jason adjusted his tie backstage, staring at the mirrored dressing room door. His palms were dry, but his heart beat with something that felt halfway between nerves and conviction. Lauren peeked in. "They're ready for you." He stepped into the light. A full audience of men and women filled the hall, there for a conference on family law, paternity fraud, and mental health. Jason stood at the podium. He tapped the mic once. "Hi, my name's Jason Miller. I'm not a therapist, not a lawyer. I'm just a man who learned the hard way how far deception can go when no one wants to talk about it." The room fell silent. "I raised a son for 6 years thinking he was mine. He wasn't. I lost my marriage, my home, my peace. But I found something else, the truth. And it saved me." He looked up, scanning the room. "See, the lie hurt. But what nearly broke me was the silence I kept trying to live inside." A woman in the second row wiped her eyes. Jason continued, stronger now. "I'm here because I don't want the next person to suffer alone. Because betrayal isn't rare. But talking about it, healing from it, that's where the change starts." Applause began. Slowly, then all at once. Jason stepped back from the mic, not with pride, but with peace. He hadn't just survived. He'd turned pain into purpose. The cafe was quiet, tucked on a side street Jason hadn't noticed before. He wasn't here to meet anyone. Not intentionally. Just coffee and maybe a moment to breathe. Then she walked in. Not dramatic. No slow-motion moment. Just a woman in a navy blazer, laptop tucked under her arm, phone in one hand. She ordered with confidence. Sat across from him without realizing. She looked up, caught his glance, smiled. "You're Jason, right?" she asked. He blinked. "Yeah. Do we know each other?" "I'm Kate," she said. "I was at your talk last week. Family law attorney." He nodded. "Ah, makes sense." She smiled. "You were the only speaker who didn't sound like a textbook." He chuckled. "I'm not polished like the others." "No," she said. "You were better." They talked for 20 minutes that felt like 5. No flirting. No wait. Just presence. And when she stood to leave, she paused. "You ever want to talk again? Legally or personally? Just let me know." She slid her card across the table. Jason turned it in his hand. Kate Monroe. JD. Family law and mediation. Maybe this wasn't a spark, but it was something. Solid. Warm. Real. And that was enough. Jason was in the grocery store, walking past the frozen section, when he saw him. Brian. Older now. Thinner. Dull in the eyes. His cart was half full with cheap microwave dinners and a case of beer. They made eye contact. Neither said a word. But Brian followed him outside. "Jason," he called out, almost breathless. "Can we talk?" Jason turned slowly. Brian looked like a shell of the man who once thought he had it all. "I didn't sign the paperwork," he said quickly. "Didn't want to be a father just because she told me to." Jason nodded. "I know." Brian rubbed the back of his neck. "She burned everything. Not just with you. With me. With Kara. My gym's gone. My money's gone. And honestly, I deserved it." Jason didn't disagree. Brian stepped closer. "Is Ethan okay?" Jason's jaw tightened. "He's better than okay." Brian nodded. "Good. That's good." Jason hesitated. "You ever plan to tell him who you are?" Brian's eyes fell. "Not unless you want me to." Jason didn't answer. Just walked to his car and left Brian in the parking lot. Sometimes karma didn't need fire and fury. Sometimes it just left people empty. "All right, class," the teacher said. "Everyone bring up your drawings of your family." Ethan walked to the front of the room, holding a crayon-colored page with both hands. His cheeks were pink, nervous. Jason watched from the back of the classroom. It was Parents' Day, and he had taken off work just to be here. Ethan held up his drawing. "This is my family," he said proudly. The page showed 2 figures, one tall, one small. They were holding hands, standing on grass under a blue sky. The tall figure had a T-shirt that said Super Dad. Jason felt something tighten in his throat. "My mom doesn't live with us anymore," Ethan said. "But my dad is always there. He makes me pancakes and tucks me in and comes to all my stuff. So he's my real dad." The room was quiet. Jason didn't move. He couldn't. Later, as they walked to the car, Ethan asked, "Did I do okay?" Jason knelt beside him. "You did better than okay. You told the truth." Ethan grinned. And in that moment, Jason knew he hadn't just protected his son from the lies. He'd given him the strength to speak his own truth. The bookstore was packed. People lined the walls, copies of the DNA That Broke Me clutched in their hands. A photo of Jason and Ethan stood on a poster board near the entrance, father and son on a park bench, mid-laugh. Jason sat behind a table, Sharpie in hand. Each signature felt surreal. "Your story helped me walk away from a 10-year lie," one woman said, tears in her eyes. "I made my boyfriend take a DNA test after your interview," a man said. "Thank you for being brave." Jason smiled at each one, never sure what to say. He didn't feel brave. He felt free. Lauren arrived halfway through. She held up a signed copy, grinning. "Best-selling author," she teased. "Never thought I'd see the day." She leaned in. "The world needs stories like this. You didn't just expose a lie. You gave people permission to stop living inside one." Jason looked around. People weren't here for drama. They were here for healing. And he had given it to them, not as a victim, but as a survivor who fought back. Jason was sipping coffee at the kitchen island when the news alert lit up his phone. Former corporate exec Amanda Miller indicted on charges of insurance fraud, document tampering. He stared at the screen, unmoved. Lauren texted a few seconds later. "Looks like your ex found a new way to destroy herself." Amanda had tried to file for unemployment and legal reimbursements using falsified documents. Her old emails, fake time cards, even her boss's forged signature. The audit caught everything. Jason didn't gloat, didn't smile. He just turned the screen face down. Karma had no soundtrack, no dramatic monologue. It just arrived. Quiet, ruthless, right on time. Danielle called him later that day. She's being arraigned Friday, she said. Mom won't even speak to her. Dad said he's embarrassed to share her blood. Jason exhaled. She never learned. No, Danielle said quietly. But you did. Jason looked out the window. Ethan was playing in the yard, chasing a soccer ball across the grass. I just wanted to protect my son, he said. But in the end, I think I also protected myself. Danielle paused. You know, if you ever want to let someone in again, someone new, you've earned that. Jason didn't reply. He didn't need to. Because for the first time in a long time, he felt like he had nothing left to prove. Jason and Ethan sat side by side on the edge of the lake. It was golden hour, the sun low, the water painted in streaks of fire and soft light. Why do people lie, Daddy? Ethan asked suddenly. Jason turned toward him. The boy wasn't looking for fairy tales. He was ready for something real. Because they're scared, Jason said. Sometimes scared of losing something. Sometimes scared of facing the truth. Ethan thought about that. But you didn't lie. Jason smiled. I was scared too. But I chose to tell the truth anyway. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Ethan leaned against his shoulder. I'm glad you're my dad. Jason closed his eyes for a second. Let the words soak in. So simple. So perfect. He looked out at the water again. Peace didn't look like a courtroom win or a social media clapback. It didn't even look like revenge. Peace looked like this. A quiet evening. A child safe in your arms. And the knowledge that you survived what should have broken you. Jason stood and offered his hand. Come on, buddy. Let's go home. Ethan took it. As they walked back up the hill, Jason turned once more toward the lake and asked himself a final question. Would you have the courage to tell the truth, even if it cost you everything? Now I'm asking you the same thing. What would you have done in Jason's place? And most of all, where are you watching this story from? Drop your city in the comments below. If this story hit you deep, if it made you feel anything, then make sure to like, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more real stories that don't sugarcoat life. We tell the stories that others are afraid to say out loud, because the truth deserves a voice. The end.